everyone. Joining me today is living legend, rock legend, Rudy Sarzo. How do you like that title, Rudy? Living legend.
Oh my God, it makes me feel so old.
Yeah, you kind of don't get that till you're a little up there, right?
Yeah. Usually don't get that until you're dead.
Well, we're here actually to talk about your book today. This is the book. It's called Off the Rails.
And this is,
you got
it.
I
Awesome.
do. I read it. It's dog-eared. You can see there's all kinds of things written in here. And I'm wondering, Rudy, how you came to the decision, first of all, to write the book and why you chose this specific period of your career.
Very simple. Very simple. The number one question I get asked when I travel around the world was, what was it like to play with Randy Rhoads? Which is the reason. It's really a Randy Rhoads book, not as much as an Ozzy book. Ozzy happens to be in it because, he is one of the main characters in the story. But it's definitely what it was like to play with Randy Rhoads. And since I was the only musician who got to play with him in both Quiet Riot and Ozzy Osbourne, it really gave me the best insight, because I got to see the metamorphosis of Randy Rhoads as a local guitar hero in Los Angeles to becoming the legend that he is today. That global, oh my God, legendary guitar player, with a wonderful image and compositions and guitar skills, and just the best friend, the best friend. One of the incredible qualities that Randy had was that he made everybody feel like he was their best friend.
It's so genuine, the connection between the two of you. And you are also known as one of the most genuine guys in rock, too, Rudy. So I can see why you guys connected on that level. But you talk a lot about Randy's classical training, and I think it's so important to who he is and who he continues to be as an inspiration to players. But what is it that you feel continues to make him so timeless and inspirational?
Timeless. Wow, what a wonderful way to describe Randy. Yeah, he's so timeless that today, through Facebook, old social networking, Twitter, whatever, I get messages from young guitar players, male and female, who discover Randy for the first time and by listening to Diary of a Madman or Blizzard of Oz, and they tell me that they can actually hear the source where all of the other guitar players that they love, where they are inspired by. Because there's a certain purity about Randy's playing that you can hear guitar players that he inspired, who later became known and became recording artists down the line. You can trace Randy, you can trace their influence of Randy back to Randy Rhoads once they hear, Blizzard and Diary of a Madman.
Who are a couple of those people, just in case somebody doesn't know?
Oh no. I'm not stay about it and say that. But there's some certain obvious choices.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. But
okay. Just to give you an example, let's say I think it's my opinion that Zakk Wylde, after Randy Rhoads, became the best choice for Ozzy, because he embraced Randy, which is what really separated him from every other guitar player that Ozzy had. But then, in his own right, Zakk Wylde is his own talent, and his influence is immeasurable. He's a huge, not only for Ozzy, but also with the Black Label Society. His musical contributions are enormous, enormous. But then at the same time, when it comes time to play Randy Rhoads' music, he embraces that. To me, it is one of the best qualities that a guitar player has, because you have to remember, all of us musicians, we were fans first. And as long as you retain that quality in you, that you're still a fan, that helps you embrace other artists, and at the same time enriching, make your own musical contributions wider, because you're basically filtering what they're doing and applying it, giving it your own voice. But without all those great musicians that have inspired me and still do inspire me, I would not be the bass player that I am today.
yeah, it's so important to continue to learn, isn't it?
Oh, I'm still learning. Oh my God, I'm learning even more now than I could when I started playing, because of technology.
And that's what also you think about Randy and how pure, as you were mentioning, his playing was, and how technology has advanced now. I mean, you were really hearing Randy Rhoads back then.
Yeah, and unfortunately, He died because Blizzard and Diary of a Madman were recorded back to back, so you can see they were recorded within months of each other, and you can see the progression of his musical skills and composition skills from one record to the other. So imagine, so then after that we toured for about a year and a half, and he was growing musically. There was even more influence by classical music, something that he never got to record or apply that to any of compositions because he died before he went back in the studio. But I, all of us in the band got to experience that, his musical growth. You know.
Is there something in particular, Rudy, that you can point to right now that you learned from him that you still carry with you today?
Oh yeah, absolutely. How to handle success. How to handle success, and yeah, because Randy was always, no matter how big, how famous he got as we tour, because back in the day there was no YouTube, no, none of this immediate exposure. He created his legend from town to town, show to show. But you could see it building because every time we would come back to a certain city, there would be more people coming in to see Randy Rhoads, and they became more aware of him. Uh, and look, Randy was, when I first met him, he was a teacher. I first met him, he was playing with Quiet Riot, who I later joined. But up until the day he left Los Angeles to join Ozzy, he was still teaching at his mom's school. If you look at any photo of Randy on stage, you can see the way he holds the guitar. It's like giving the whole arena a guitar lesson.
Yeah, that is such cool imagery. Yeah, it's so true. And it was one of the great things that you put into the book too, how he would scour the phone book to look for teachers. And then sometimes he'd end up teaching them.
Exactly, because he was on that never-ending journey of knowledge. And I mean, he right now, boy, he could have definitely used YouTube. He would be like watching all these classical guitar player, tutorials. Yeah, it would have been wonderful. He was living with his mom in his mom's house till the day he died. He never went out and bought a Ferrari or a Porsche with all the money he made. He's just it was the same guy that he was in Quiet Riot till the day he died. So that the legendary Randy that we know, he never got to experience that. The legend happened after he passed away.
Yeah, yeah. Well, one of the other things that I found very interesting that you put into the book were the local reviews of your shows.
Oh my God! Yeah.
A lot of those reviews are from some of my old stomping grounds. I grew up in upstate New York, so Rochester, Syracuse, Buffalo, Binghamton, and those are your peeps, boy. I mean, you can go 4 album cuts deep, and it's a hit.
Yeah. We love playing in all those towns because that's, especially back in the day. Those were actually considered B markets. So it's not like you have New York, Chicago, San Francisco, the A markets, and then everything else is considered a B market. And I got to tell you, some of the best shows we ever did were in those venues. All the hockey arenas and theaters and all of that. And what a wonderful audience. Really diehard metal fans.
Yeah, and to this day as well.
This thing, absolutely.
Yeah, it's incredible. I also wanted to compliment you on being brave enough to put in some of your mankini pictures in the photographs.
Which one?
Oh, like here, like in Speedos and things like that.
I still wear Speedos. I only wear them in Europe, but when I go to the beach in Europe or lay by the pool in Europe. But yeah.
Do you still keep journals?
No, actually, no, I don't. And the only reason why I did for those 2 tours was for tax purposes because my family's accountant. I went from being a starving musician, just sleeping on the floor, and never making any money, to all of a sudden, I'm making a living. So he says, just keep all your receipts, keep a journal where you've been, so you can, deduct that, for expenses, tax purposes. So that was the only reason why I did it. Then after that, I found better methods of keeping, my accounting.
But because as you quote people in the book, you can hear their voice. You know it to be true.
Oh yeah. Well, but there's something to be said about the first time you go on the road with such colorful characters like Ozzy, Sharon, Tommy Aldridge, and Don Airy, that you get to know them so well because this was a time of Ozzy's career where everybody was in the same bus. We all traveled together, you know. And then they were so kind that when we would go off the road, I would live with them up in Sharon's family home in the Beverly Hills, and yeah, so I got to spend a lot of time with them. So but it's the most memorable portion of my musical career. Definitely is. Yeah.
And now that the book's been out a few years, Rudy, do you look back on it and is there anything you'd like to change or revise, or do you think about maybe writing a second book?
No, no. I mean, you know how it is about writing a book. It's a commitment. It's like from the moment that you sit down to write that first page to the last page, it's like perpetual homework. What all the kids are out there playing baseball, you're in your room, which is what it was. I went through three different bands and two laptops. I started with Quiet Riot, then I was touring with Ingve Malmsteen, and I finished the book when I was with Dio, and two laptops. So yeah, it's not something that you just throw together. A lot of effort and a lot of time went into it. That only because I wanted to do this for Randy, and for anybody who's read the book, they understand what the hero he was with us, not only as a friend, a musician, a composer, but also I truly believe he saved our lives the day of the crash.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, I was just going to say, I'm sorry to interrupt you. You had some details there that I've really never heard before, and I really appreciated getting your side of that story because it is very different, I think, than a lot of what's been put out there.
Yeah, which is another motivation to why I write the book is to actually dispel all of the conspiracy. Oh my God, I heard some incredible conspiracy theories on the internet that I couldn't even. If I would sit down to come up with stupid conspiracy, I couldn't even think of those. And yeah, that was so wild that I said, you know what, I got to set the record straight. And if you're talking about the crash, you have to start at the very beginning. You have to build a story and tell everything because it wasn't just about and then there was a crash. No, it were things that build up to the crash, and then uh, the difficulty of having to actually write about after Randy's death, because the impacts. I mean, it still reverberates today with each of the individuals involved. You know, Randy. I mean, his passing. Is left huge emotional wounds. That I don't think that will ever heal. With Ozzy and Sharon, Tommy Aldridge, Don Airy, myself. It really changed our lives. Put it this way, you just learn how to live with it.
And you are continuing to live, and you're always talking about continuing your journey. And you have two things I want to ask you about this Animetal USA band. Yeah, but this is cool. Tell me about it.
It's one of the most unique bands that I've ever been a member of. It's anime centric. Well, you know what a significant art form it is in Japan. As a matter of fact, I was doing an interview with a Japanese journalist in Tokyo, and I asked him, "Do you think Japan will be the same society today without anime?" And he thought it for like a few seconds, and he said, "No." No, Tokyo, Japan is anime, and anime is Japan. It's such a part of their lives, of their culture. So for the first time to be able to go to Japan as a band and not as a typical metal band, like, I've gone there, I've been touring Japan for 30 years. Ozzy, Quiet Riot, Whitesnake, Dio. And if I was going there and we do the same show that we do in Europe or the United States or South America, and then we leave. With Animetal USA, we're part of the Japanese culture, which is a totally different picture. We get on the domestic charts. We go to all the local, domestic TV shows, like their version of Good Morning America and David Letterman, and we're just basically part of the Japanese culture. And to me, there's no better way to say thank you to all the Japanese fans that have been supporting our music for all these years than to do something specifically for them.
That's so cool.
And also, anime is huge around the world now. So to be able to become ambassadors, as they have called us, they are giving us the mission of being ambassadors to the rest of the world with anime and metal. Bringing anime to the metal fans around the world.
Phenomenal. And you're also an animator yourself.
Yes, I am. I'm a 3D animator. Yeah. Yeah, I was really on my last trip to Japan. We're on Sony Music, so the president of Sony Music, we're having dinner, and he says, "So what do you want to do on your day off?" And I go, "Yeah, I want to go to an anime production house." And he says, picked up the phone and made the arrangements, and we went, the whole band, and it was just incredible watching their workflow, how they do everything. You know, yeah, it's incredible.
It's
I can spend hours talking about that.
It's a whole nother show. We'll have to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Some days it's good to be Rudy Sarzo, right?
It's fun. I don't know if it's good or not, but it's fun. I'm having a blast. Yeah.
Well, I have to ask you before we go. If you go into Guitar Center,
Yeah,
what riff
yeah.
do you play?
Stairway to Heaven, just like everybody else. I just jump in and join everybody because that's what everybody's playing, Stairway to Heaven. As a matter of fact, have you seen the movie where there's a sign that says "No Stairway to Heaven"?
Yes.
Oh, it's the same thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, I just go through some scales, and it's funny because I did that recently because I'm working with a company, and that I was doing some research, and I just picked up the instrument, and I like to, for all of you, people that are starting out, pick up an instrument and listen to it acoustically before you plug it into the amplifier. That's going to give you a really good idea of what the instrument sounds like, because just about any amplifier can make it sound decent, but but any instrument should sound great without plugging it in. It's how it feels and sounds in your hands.
Great,
I
Tim.
just wanted to share that.
I love that. No, great. Good advice. We should start a little segment. Good advice from Rudy Sarzo.
10-second segment.
I like those. I like those. Rudy, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Kimberly. It's been a pleasure.
Nice to meet you. Bye, Rudy.
Bye-bye.